M&E reports should be distributed to as many of your stakeholders as possible. It should be reported to as many of your stakeholders as possible, because this is one good way for you to demonstrate your accountability and your sense of responsibility. People need to know, for example, between 2010 and 2013, what did your CEC really achieve? And you need to be transparent enough and accountable enough to really report this to them. So even so, if there are many failures, it's best that you report all of this. Okay, you also need your reports because you want to convince people about continuing their support to your CECs because of all the good works that you have done and have been documented in your evaluation. It can be also used to educate. Your findings can be used to explore and investigate new, more innovative approaches to solving your development problems, learning problems. It's a documentation tool. It also encourages involvement from more sectors or more people in your community. You can use your M&E report to gain support, promote understanding, and ultimately you want to deliver your message. That, for example, what is the message of your CEC? Your CEC is central to development in your community, because the CEC is where people build and develop their ICT literacy skills. So that's one message that your evaluation would deliver, for example. Okay, and you need to present your results, your data, in a form that is clear and understandable. So you need to report any expenditures or income incurred during the monitoring and evaluation phase. You need to report raw numbers, for example, number of people attending your classes, number of people going to the CECs, percentages. So if remember, in the indicators, we use percentages as the way to report accomplishments, percentage increase in ICT literacy, for example. You also need to present organizations or organizational units that were involved in this project, that were involved in your outcome of providing literacy. Is it just the CEC, or did you also get the help of some other organization, some other units in your municipality, or maybe from schools and other sectors in your community? You also need to report the geographic locations, for example, if you did some focus group discussions, you might need to draw a map, or maybe use Google Maps to pinpoint, for example, specific barangays where you conducted interviews or focus group discussions. Demographic data is also very important, as well as reporting client satisfaction scales. For example, you should develop some form of tool wherein every time you have customers coming into your CEC, they can answer an evaluation form, and they can put their level of satisfaction in the services that you have provided, right? And there are different ways of coming up with your evaluation report. There's written summaries, executive summaries, which can be quite short. You can do all presentations and mix it up, or combine this with visual presentations, like doing PowerPoint slides or making posters, and then presenting this to venues such as the Knowledge Exchange Conference for CECs, or some other meetings in the municipality, in the province, or even at the regional level. These will be very good opportunities for you to really share your experiences with other CECs, with other people. You can even report your evaluation findings on the website of PhilSecNet, on the website of the community website of PhilSecNet at the Ning site. So these are very good opportunities for you to report and to share and to disseminate your learnings from your evaluation experience. And continuing on to step 9, whatever findings you gathered, whatever findings you had, after conducting your evaluation, you must need to use these findings. The different ways that you can use the findings. You can use the findings to respond to your mayors and other officials or your community's demand for accountability, to help formulate and justify budget requests, to help make operational resource allocation decisions, look more in depth at the problems that exist in terms of achieving your performance and how do you correct these problems. You can use the evaluation to further motivate your CEC personnel so that they too can contribute in improving your CEC. So you can use the findings to formulate and monitor the performance of your partners, contractors, and other grantees if you have any. It can also provide data for special in-depth program evaluations, like for example literacy courses for your CEC or provision of specific services. You can have specific evaluations for that. And your findings can also help provide services more efficiently to your customers, because you would now know what these people want and what they didn't get, for example. Your findings can also support strategic and other long-term planning efforts, because you have already provided baseline information, and then you had your targets, and then during the monitoring phase you were able to track the progress of your project. And again, this is one way, very good way for you to communicate better with your public and to build public trust. Alright, so finally, the last step, or the 10th step in results-based monitoring evaluation, is for you as a CEC manager or your team to make sure that the monitoring and evaluation system in your organization, in your CEC, is sustained. This is not just a one-off activity that you would need just to fulfill expectations or to respond to the needs of your people. You should really institutionalize monitoring and evaluation in your CECs, because there's, in sustaining your results-based monitoring and evaluation systems, there's really now a demand for this as part of the accountability and transparency process. As I've mentioned earlier, there should be clear roles and responsibilities of different partners of your CEC in what they should do or how they would take part in monitoring and evaluation. It's also very critical that your M&E system should be trustworthy, should be credible, and you should also be accountable to the results of these monitoring evaluations, whether they're positive or not. Another critical component is the capacity of your people to do monitoring evaluation, and the incentives that you should always continuously provide to your staff. It doesn't need to be monetary, but it's maybe a moral incentives for them to continue doing their good work and improving the services of your CEC. So some final reminders before I close this discussion. Number one, as I've really been pointing out, as a CEC manager, do not consider monitoring and evaluation as an afterthought, something that you just need to do because it's an expectation. You should really, as I've mentioned, institutionalize and make monitoring and evaluation really a daily part of the work that you do in community e-centers. So keep champions of monitoring and evaluation at your side and help them so that they can continue their good work of supporting you in your CECs. And at the same time, maybe if you can identify your mayor and members of the Sanggunian as champions, they would be very helpful in turn to ensure that they will give resources so that your monitoring evaluation system is sustained. Don't forget to test their monitoring evaluation system first before fully implementing it in your CECs. Monitor both the progress of the implementation of your CEC as well as to look at the achievements and the results that you have gathered in a span of time. And finally, let's not forget that monitoring and evaluation go hand in hand. So they are complementary to each other. So with that, I hope that you were able to get a good overview of results-based monitoring and evaluation.